All right, so we're at RSPA, and I am here with the head of the RSPA, my good friend Jim Roddy. Jim, thank you for joining us.
Craig, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Welcome to RetailNOW 2024 in Vegas.
Thank you. It's the 76th anniversary of RSPA and ICRDA and all of those organizations that have now become RSPA.
That is correct. Founded in 1948 as the Independent Cash Register Dealers Association. And as you'll see as we walk around on the show floor, we've certainly transitioned and changed with the times and have gone way beyond the cash register.
So let's take a look.
It's the SpartanPOS YouTube channel. SpartanPOS is a leading provider for multiple technology solutions. Our motto is Solutions Simplified. We pride ourselves on delivering hardware solutions that save you money and simplify your life.
So let's take a little walk. Let's just kind of talk about what's going on in the industry and kind of some of the changes that are going on. And you let me know if you see something that looks interesting or... But yeah, I think the term Steve Bergeron always used to say is shiny objects. I was always a sucker for shiny objects. So
there's shiny objects all over the place here. The one thing that we've really noticed is, like I alluded to, it's not just a cash register show anymore. It's really become a high-tech event, and you can see it's not just selling about the point of sale anymore. It goes so far beyond that, and then all the services you can wrap around it. And so a lot of the members that we have, a lot of the attendees here, they're far more sophisticated than they were 5 years ago and 10 years ago, right? You see folks who are more managed services providers and really providing that total solution. They're not just providing one part of it. They've adapted to recurring revenue and they've just really grown their business. They're healthy businesses and they really know their technology. They really know their merchants.
Yeah, I was mentioning to you earlier that my first RSPA was here at the Paris Hotel in 2000. And the difference in the show, the culture, just kind of the heartbeat of the industry is it's staggering how much different it is today compared to that particular time. I can remember at that time, the point of sale technology tended to be 3-4 years behind where consumer electronics were.
Yeah.
And whereas today it's cutting edge. I mean, it is as new and as modern as anything you can imagine as we're walking past a robot here that MS Cashflow is showing. So it's just kind of incredible how all of those changes.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. There was a period of time, so my roots go back to when we first met when I was at Business Solutions magazine. We had one half of our magazine really focused on point of sale, the other focused on the managed services world is what it would be called today. We had our managed service editor come to an event like this. It was a user conference, and she said, this seems like it's further behind the other industries that I go to. But I would challenge anybody now, like you said, you come here, you are seeing what's around the corner, you're seeing things new, you're seeing things you didn't even conceive of before. And a lot of it is rooted in the partnerships that happen here. It's not just one person in the booth has one idea, it's them working with multiple other providers to put something together, all integrated, all easy to use, better customer experience that people haven't seen before. So yeah, this has become a technology event, not just a place for people to see what was, or what is current. You get to see what's around the corner here.
The RSPA has done a great job with education, and the change in the seminars and the panels and the discussion topics it's changed exponentially. We have a good friend of ours, Dennis Wilson, who is the expert in AI. He's going to give a presentation tomorrow. Some of the stuff that he's talking about is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Things you couldn't even conceive of before. Kathy Meter's our VP of Education. She does a great job of leading that charge. There's also an element, like a business lesson to it, where it's not lock yourself in a room and figure out what's going to be the best education. It's constantly taking the pulse of our members. And because we're a year-round association, we have community meetings, and I know you attend a lot of those. We get to hear great ideas that come out from those community meetings. All our engagement with our vendors and our members and the resellers and the ISVs, and we take the best of the best and we bring it here. We have over 60 speakers at this event, and the topics that we chose are based on what our members are telling us. This is what I want to hear about. This is what I need to hear about. And we had 8 a.m. education this morning. A lot of people are like, there's an 8 a.m. in Las Vegas. All our sessions, except 9 out of 10 sessions, had 100 or more people in them at 8 a.m. In Vegas.
In
Vegas. So again, we've got the right people, we've got the right topics, we've got the right community. So anybody who immerses themselves in this community, they're going to get answers they can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, and I just think the quality of the information, I mean, the experience that's here is just, it's incredible. I mean, how much knowledge is in this room. It's unbelievable.
It really is, and way different perspectives, right? You talk to a vendor, you hear their angle. You talk to a distributor, you maybe get a little bit broader perspective. You have a niche ISV, you're going to hear their world. I was just talking to somebody there. People would say, how are the members doing? How are the attendees doing? I'm like, well, some, and actually it's most, are having banner years, massive growth. Then you have some, they're in a spot where they really have to figure out where to pivot next because they've taken some hits in that. And so this is not a monolithic group anymore. Right before it was, you're a reseller, or you're a software provider, or you're a hardware vendor, and everybody was the same. But now it's really different in terms of what these individual companies, the challenges in front of them and what they have to offer. That can be daunting because before you just kind of go with the flow, and if things are great, you just ride that wave. But folks here are now really making their own wave. But the great thing is, if I could take this analogy further, their boats have a great engine to them, and they're really working on tuning that engine and making them better and better. We don't have any, if many, lifestyle companies here. People here are very much growth oriented. I don't know if that's because they have the entrepreneurial spirit, or as somebody said, like, man, I'm scrambling to make sure I stay ahead, right? Because the competition is on my heels.
I think it's a little of both. I'm kind of surprised by the diversity of the manufacturers that are here. There's so many new manufacturers here and so much different technology, so many unique different spins on, oh, well, it's a kiosk, it's an all-in-one, it's a touchscreen or whatever, but everybody seems to have their own little spin on it, and they're able to come up with different solutions. And the other thing that they're doing is they're taking the best in breed of all of the different manufacturers and bundling them together to come up with really good stuff.
That's right. And so there's an element of one size fits one. It's not one size fits all.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Before, the hardware manufacturers, and this will be maybe overstating it, but they said, this is our model, this is what we're making, and you adapt to it. Now we see them a lot, as you alluded to, collaborating with the software developers and developing specific hardware for them that says, this is going to work for you. Right, they're having, it's way more purpose built, it's way more application built than it is just, well, this is our latest model and it's a tweak on the last one. Tons of collaboration here, and that's what really makes this community work. The one thing that we've noticed is, and again, folks are seeing the booths in the background, a lot of the folks here are software providers.
Yep.
Before, the way that it worked was you exhibited, and whoever walked the show floor, that was your target audience. Now we're seeing a lot of these exhibitors, since a lot of them have that software component, or they're tied in from a software standpoint, they work with each other. So they get great, one booth visiting another booth. They see a lot of collaboration there, a lot of success, and that's really helped drive this show as well.
So what are you most excited about looking forward next year, next 5 years? What's got your blood pumping?
So the thing that I think excites me the most is a lot of the services that can be wrapped around and everything that we're seeing, and it doesn't require a reseller organization to bring on a new expert in order to do that. Like, there used to be an old thing, like an example was if you wanted to get into networking, we had to bring in somebody who knew how to pull cable and do all sorts of that stuff, and it had to be an in-house person, everything like that. Well, now you can just partner with all sorts of different folks. There's an add-on that you can have, or we've seen ISVs here talking about working with their VARs and hearing the feedback and adapting their software. We've seen now that the barrier to become a developer has become way lower, and we were actually just talking at our board meeting yesterday, and some of our ISVs in there were saying, you're going to be able to do that now just with AI. You're going to be able to tell it what you want. It'll be able to provide that programming. And so you don't even have to be a person to be a software developer. You just need to know the outcome that you're looking for. So I think that could be very exciting, because where we see this industry winning is with extreme personal customer service is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's, again, not one size fits one. And you go, well, how do I have the manpower to do that specific development for a small group of customers? That's where technology can come in. That's where all the partnering. So I'd say that's what I'm most excited about, is you see the opportunity here for folks to do better than maybe a giant company could, right? Bureaucratic companies stink at try, test, measure, adapt. The SMBs here, they're good at it, and as long as we keep those muscles strong, try, test, measure, adapt, and do it over and over, we're going to be able to stay ahead, and we're going to be able to serve the merchants.
They're very nimble, too. The smaller companies are really nimble. They can make decisions quickly. They can just figure things out. And like you said, the whole partnership and collaboration. A lot of the distributors now are offering value-added services to go and do installations or to do these different areas of expertise that really helps bring that full solution. And then I still think that your other thing about that service, people still really appreciate being able to talk to a person and be able to get that answer. And I was telling somebody the other day, I can usually help somebody figure out what they need in 3 questions.
Yes.
And then you've got a customer that's buying with confidence.
Yes.
And they're going to get what they want. So
if you're a merchant and you're in a crisis, do you want to call? I know Craig at Biztracker. I have his mobile number. I know he's been in this industry for
a long time.
And then, or do I call this 800 number and I'm going to get somebody that maybe just finished up training and I really need some help? Or you've been to their establishment before, right? You know their culture, you know how they work. That, again, you can go with the cheap solution, you can go with the 800 number, and that's going to work to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Once a merchant reaches a certain level of complexity or has certain, they need something more than just the standard, that's where I think this industry really comes in.
Right. I agree with you completely. And, not everybody's going to know every answer because, the industry is so vast and there's so many solutions out there, but we know the right questions to ask.
Yes.
And we know the people to go to if we have a question about a certain topic or a certain issue. So,
yeah, you also know the BS as well. So we talked about, we're putting together inside the RSPA something that we're calling Market Connect. We're doing really deep dive profiles on each one of our members. But some folks have said, well, make it a database so it can be searchable. And one of our members said, no, because the value of the RSPA is not just having what's on a sheet of paper. I can talk to people who are going to tell me what's BS about what I'm being told, what's the real world application. And that's what you get here, right? These vendors are going to say, here's our aspiration. You talk with some of their partners and they'll be able to say exactly how it's worked for them. They know the real world application. This is a real world event. That's what I always like about it.
It is. And to me, the best part of this show has always been the networking. The networking, the education, the connections that you make, all of that stuff. I mean, it's great. So it sounds like things are going well. Things are headed in the right direction. I've certainly noticed a lot of really great improvements since you've come into your role. Obviously, you've always been actively involved, but now, you're the guy.
Well, we've got a great team. Like I play a role on our leadership team and our small but mighty staff of 10.
Yep.
And we have great experience. We haven't had any turnover in 2 years on our team, right? We've had the same group together. And I was just talking, Chris Arnold, our director of marketing, at our booth where we made some changes this year, not based on us staring at the ceiling tiles and going, you know what I want to do? We got together and said, based on the feedback that we're seeing, based on the data, let's make these tweaks, let's make these improvements. And here we have highest attendance we've ever had since COVID, getting back to a lot of those pre-COVID numbers when you had these giant payment companies sending 100, 200 people here. Almost 600 resellers, over 300 ISVs. And again, it's the right kind of folks here where it's not lifestyle businesses, as I mentioned earlier. And so there's a formula, but it goes back to Mark Fraker says, as a former board chair, he's CTO of Blue Star. His dad, that grew up on a farm, said, you have 2 ears and one mouth, use them in proportion. And so that's what we follow. Yeah. So I know you like saying you're the head guy, you're the man or something like that. We just have a team of 10. We have 20 ears, right? And so we make sure we listen and we get all that feedback together and we just keep making improvements based on what our members want, what our members need.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. It's always a pleasure. You're a good friend of mine. We were trying to figure out when exactly we met, but like I said, my first one was 24 years ago. I think you said your first one was somewhere around that time, 2006.
2006. So, I remember it because I made the mistake of wearing a suit, and you had to walk from the hotel in Reno, Nevada, the convention center, and it was like drenched by the time that I got there. I'm like, no, I'm doing golf shirts from now on, or like we do now, we do it all in air conditioning. Nobody has to step outside for a few days.
That's great. Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Craig. My pleasure.
A great place, and we appreciate your partnership.
Thanks for your support. Thanks for having the fire to do what you do. I really love your initiative, Craig.
I'm trying.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll have more of the RSPA, but going to be tough to top this one. This was, we really appreciate Jim for coming on and joining us and giving us his insights on what's going on in the industry and what's going on at RSPA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Jim Roddy. If you need more information about the RSPA, You can go to gorspa.org. You can email them at info@gorspa.org or give them a call toll-free at 800-782-2693. Thanks again to Jim for joining us. If you'd like more information or pricing, please send us an email at info@spartanpos.com or shop online at spartanpos.com and use code YT20 to take $20 off your first order. Please like and subscribe.